As I said in my previous video, we have a new scale for legal idiocy. It's going to be called the Halpern Whitney scale. And we're going to find out why today, because I'm going to read their lawsuit filed against Chase Bank over an alleged discrimination event that took place in one of Chase Bank's Colorado branches. Get ready, guys. This is the dumbest thing I have read coming from a lawyer. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dredd to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dredd Show.
Okay, we're also going to play a drinking game later, and I don't know if we're going to be able to get to that one today. This is going to take a long time. I'm going to have to break this thing up into parts, but you're kind of used to that by now anyway. So this is the lawsuit filed in District Court, Arapahoe County in Colorado by Janetta Vaughn, okay, against JP Morgan Chase. And there are the two lawyers involved in this, Iris Halpern and Crist Whitney. They will now join the Loco Lawyers gang. And so it begins. Plaintiff Janetta Vaughn, by and through her undersigned counsel. By the way, if you're not sure about what we're talking about, go look at my previous video where I played a news clip that pretty much discusses the event, but we're obviously going to find out a lot more by reading this lawsuit and reading between the lines. So it begins. Plaintiff Janetta Vaughn, by and through her undersigned counsel Iris Halpern and Crist Whitney of Rathod Mohammed Bain LLC, respectfully alleges for her complaint and jury demand as follows. On the morning of June 9th, 2022, Janetta Vaughn entered the JP Morgan Chase & Company Bank branch on 1101 South Buckley Road in Aurora, Colorado. Ms. Vaughn is a Black church-going mother of three who spent her career at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Right away, the idiocy, it doesn't take long. Within like the second sentence, we're already telling the judge she's church-going.
You are so loco, man!
She's a Christian. And she's a mother of three. If I'm the judge, I'm thinking, why are you telling me this? Are you trying to unduly influence me or the jury? It goes on. She has been a longtime Chase member. As Ms. Vaughn entered the bank that day and took a seat in the lobby, branch manager Trina Pelesh, who is white, immediately approached her, loudly asking Ms. Vaughn if she could help her with something. Right, because I'm sure that's what happened, right? Ms. Vaughn goes, sits down, and the bank manager, this Trina Pelesh, just walks up and yells at her, "Can I help you?" Because bank managers always do that. Ms. Vaughn calmly responded that she needed no assistance and was just there for personal banking purposes. So let's see here. "Can I help you?" "Oh, no, I'm just here for personal banking purposes." Yeah, I'm sure that's what happened. Instead of accepting Ms. Vaughn's response, Ms. Pelesh told Ms. Vaughn that she was not welcome at Chase and called the police on her, accusing Ms. Vaughn of trespassing. Okay, there's a lot to unpack there, but bank managers typically don't throw customers out that quickly. And the reason why is no matter what race you are, your money is as green as anybody else's. Bank managers want people to put their money in their bank. They're not going to care if you're black or not. They are certainly not going to pull this. Here comes a black customer. She sits down You're really going to just walk up to her and start yelling at her. And then when she calmly responds, you're going to throw her out and call the police? That really happened? Okay. She's a bank manager. She didn't get to where she was by acting like that. Okay, we move on. When the police arrived and informed Ms. Pellich that Ms. Vaughn felt discriminated against, Ms. Pellich's telling response was, "That's always the excuse." In other words, Ms. Pellich is saying, "That's BS." Okay, what is she supposed to say? Ms. Pellich ordered the police to remove Miss Vaughn from the premises anyway. Oh, wait a minute. So in other words, if Ms. Pellich had said, "Oh, she's claiming discrimination, well, I guess we better just drop the whole thing," that would be an admittance. That would be admitting that you discriminated against her. She's saying, no, throw her out anyway. Okay. As a result of defendants' unlawful and degrading treatment, you got a typo there, of Ms. Vaughn, she now brings claims under the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act for a violation of her constitutional rights to be free of race discrimination under 42 USC. You haven't proven anything with race at all here, but okay. And state court torts for emotional distress and defamation. It is no trivial matter to call the police on a black person. Man, I am tired of hearing this argument. Essentially, if you call the police on a black person, well, you're in the wrong. You can't do that. If you catch one who's stealing from you, you can't call the police because you're trying to have the police kill him. I mean, if Ms. Pellich truly believes that Ms. Vaughn was rude to her and tells her to leave, and Ms. Vaughn doesn't leave, she's entitled to call the police. That's her right. The whole idea that because she called the police, therefore my client must be in the right is pure malarkey. And it's getting tiresome. Moving on. Falsely accusing him or her of criminal misconduct. Well, if you ordered that person out and they refuse to leave, there's no false accusation there. That is trespassing. Keep in mind, everybody, they're not denying that Ms. Vaughn refused to leave. So that is criminal trespassing. Where is the false accusation? It goes on. Merely for engaging in routine and mundane chores the rest of us do daily. Well, okay, here's the problem. People of all races, they do these routine and mundane chores all the time, and they never run into this problem. Ms. Vaughn is not the only black customer at that bank, and therefore these other black customers were somehow able to go into the bank and do their business and leave. What was different here? Inherent in such actions is the very real threat of arrest and physical violence. Really? So Ms. Vaughn really feared the police. Then why did she stick around to wait for the police to arrive? We're going to find out that that's exactly what she did. And doing so invokes the ghost of segregation. Not long past when white citizens frequently exploited law enforcement to relegate black citizens to second-class status. So if this is a ghost of segregation, that means there's no more segregation. What are you admitting here? It goes on. Entrenching racist hierarchies and weaponizing the police to exclude black citizens from the public sphere. But the woman decided to wait for the police to arrive.
That's more like, zany or goofy. Yeah. It's the wrong kind of loco.
Such discrimination must no longer be condoned. Okay, I don't have any issues with the jurisdiction. Administrative exhaustion, that would be true if, for example, if it was a professor suing another professor, they have to go through HR at the university first before they can sue, that kind of thing. Oh boy, here we go. Plaintiff Janetta Vaughn is over 60 years of age, a Colorado resident, and a previous longtime federal government worker. That's important. I mean, we've been thinking, like, does Janetta Vaughn have a good case here? But now we know, oh, she's a federal government worker. Ms. Vaughn is also a black woman. Ms. Vaughn earned her Bachelor of Science in Education. Like, how in the hell is that relevant? I mean, suppose that Ms. Pellich has a Master's in Business Administration. Does that mean she wins the lawsuit? And I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to paint this picture that Ms. Vaughn is a former educator, and educators never lie. Educators are never belligerent. Ms. Vaughn has worked as a teacher, a substitute teacher, who cares, at a bank, well, that might be relevant, in hospitals, oh, she's worked in hospitals. I mean, she's such a good Samaritan. And in the aerospace field, human wheel chalk works in the aerospace field, but I don't think it makes much difference. I mean, look, who cares where she's worked? I mean, what's the relevance? Ms. Vaughn was employed with the Department of Veterans Affairs. Was employed, so she's no longer employed by the Department of Veterans Affairs, was not employed by the department during this time, so how is it relevant? And had been employed with the federal government for nearly 12 years. I mean, are we applying for a job here, or are we trying to file a lawsuit? Ms. Vaughn is a wife to James Vaughn Sr., and a mother to her son, as well as two of his. Okay, so let's see here now. If we go in, we find out that Ms. Pellich has 3 kids of her own, plus she's still married to the kid's father. Does that mean that Ms. Pellich wins? Now, how are we counting this? Are stepsons worth half a son or something like that? Or what's going on? Oh no. Here we go. Are you guys ready? This is in the factual section, number 20. Ms. Vaughn prays daily and attends church regularly.
Hi, I'm the most local person in here.
I mean, really? Are you kidding me? This is a blatant attempt to influence the judge. She's saying to the judge, hey, we have a Christian here. If I'm the judge, I'm saying, you tell me why this is relevant and why you put this in here, and tell me how it's not a blatant attempt to try to influence me and the jury. I would be furious. In fact, and again, I'm not a judge, so I don't know how it's going to be handled, but me, I'm throwing this out. Oh no, I'm not taking this. You can't come in here trying to influence me so baldly and expect to get away with it. I mean, how do you unring the bell? Suppose I'm an avid churchgoer. How do you unring the bell? What are you going to tell me to erase this from my memory? And do we now go to Ms. Pellich and ask, how many times do you go to church? Oh, in which church? If Ms. Vaughn is a Southern Baptist and Ms. Pellich is a Methodist, well, who wins the lawsuit then? I would be furious. And I will say this. If the judge lets this slide, then the judge is corrupt. You cannot entertain this. This is, in my opinion, a violation of Ms. Pellich's fundamental rights. You are being discriminated against because your opponent is a Christian. Oh man. And I know some people will say, well, that's just how we do it in the law field. Well, that's because the law field is corrupt. There is no chance in hell that this should ever be in a lawsuit, but it probably gets done all the time. I never said I had a lot of respect for the legal system. Since 2019, Ms. Vaughn has been a dependable member of Chase, using its banking services on many occasions. Really? So why wasn't she discriminated previously? Don't know. Chase Bank and Trina Pelech discriminate against Janetta Vaughn. On the morning of June 9th, 2022, Ms. Vaughn drove to the Chase Bank located at whatever to withdraw money from her Chase account, as she has routinely done in the past, and to obtain counter checks. Ms. Vaughn entered the bank at 11:34 a.m. Okay, at this point we play the drinking game. Get your bourbon out. And I am not responsible for any stomach pumps or any EMT arrivals or hospital stays, okay? You're playing this game voluntarily. So the game is, every time we are told about Ms. Vaughn unlocking her account, you have to take a swig. Are you ready? Okay. Get 911 on speed dial. You may be needing them. Here we go. As Ms. Vaughn walked into the branch that morning, she sat down to unlock her Chase card, as she typically does for security reasons. Chase offers a personal banking service that allows customers to lock and unlock their debit card just in case the card is lost or stolen. This provides the Chase member additional security and allows them to instantly stop purchases or cash advances on their Chase card. Do you get the picture? Janetta Vaughn is going to unlock her card, and the reason is for security reasons, right? Evidently, I don't think that you have it down yet, because we're going to have to explain that a little more. Ms. Vaughn, out of caution, locks and unlocks her Chase card between usage. Ms. Vaughn locks her bank card as a safety measure, just in case she loses it. Do you get the idea yet? Oh, we're not done. I know you might be getting a little bit drunk, but no, we're not done. She noticed that businesses no longer ask for ID to make a purchase, so she locks her card to ensure someone else could not make purchases. Okay, have you got it figured out yet? Janetta Vaughn is unlocking her card because she normally locks her card for security purposes. No, you don't have it yet, because we're going to have to go explain that some more. There is a 4-step process to unlock the card. Oh, and this is good. On the Chase mobile phone application. So it's like they're advertising the Chase mobile phone app. You can almost see this as an actual advertisement. And with Ms. Vaughn being the spokesperson, right? I lock my card because there's a lot of crime out there and I want security. And I use the Chase mobile app. Oh, we're not done. Before she could proceed with any transactions, she would need to log into the Chase mobile phone application to unlock her card. Hey, are you still with me? I mean, I know that you're probably getting a little bit woozy out there, but hang in there. To avoid inconveniencing anyone, Ms. Vaughn sat in one of the branch's customer lobby chairs while she worked to unlock her card. At 11:35 a.m., while Ms. Vaughn proceeded to log into the Chase mobile app to unlock her account, Chase branch manager Trina Pelech, a white female, approached Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Pelech approached Ms. Vaughn less than 90 seconds after Miss Vaughn sat down to unlock her card. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, we really made fun of Johnny Walker Dredd because he said that he found a couple of lawyers dumber than Kimberly Motley, but this is pretty bad. Oh my God. I wonder what the judge is thinking. I mean, do we have to have a quiz now? Janetta Vaughn sat down in the chair to do what? A, unlock her card. B, oh, just choose A. That's the only answer. Oh, and which app did she use? It's the Chase mobile app. You can download it for free. Oh, boy. Ms. Pellich loudly asked Ms. Vaughn whether she could help her with something, to which Ms. Vaughn responded, oh no, not another one, that when she finished unlocking her card, she would get in line to speak with the bank teller. No, take the swig. Take the swig. I know you're blinding drunk, but you agreed to play this. Instead of accepting Ms. Vaughn's response, Ms. Pellich raised her voice, told Ms. Vaughn that she did not need to be rude, and angrily told Ms. Vaughn that she was not welcome at the bank branch. So that kind of raises the question, was Ms. Vaughn actually rude? Well, guess what? They're not really going to deny it. Surprised by Ms. Pellich's tone, Ms. Vaughn said, what are you talking about? I said I'm doing business, trying to open up my account so I can get in line. But what you didn't say is that you said that politely. Ms. Pellich did not ask Ms. Vaughn to see proof of membership. It's not relevant. And if she did, what would be the complaint? Ms. Pellich obviously thought that a black person couldn't have enough money to have a bank account. I mean, you can imagine the stories they would have dreamed up if Ms. Pellich had demanded to see proof of membership at the bank. So Ms. Pellich thought that she was homeless because she's racist. That's what they would say. Instead, ignoring Ms. Vaughn, Ms. Pellich reiterated that, it's iterated, not reiterated. You're not welcome here, and threatened to call the police. Shocked, Ms. Vaughn replied that she would sit and wait for the police to come so that they could record the events at the Chase Bank. Wait a minute. I thought you were terrified of the police. I thought that the police were those who would just open fire on you. According to your interview in the previous video, that's what you said, that you didn't know if you were going to get shot, but you had no problem waiting around for them to arrive. You're such a liar. I hate this. I mean, let's suppose that you do have a valid discrimination case. Suppose that you do feel that you were discriminated by Ms. Pellich. Okay, but to make this crap up, that, oh, I was in fear of the police, the ones that I sat in the chair and waited on. I mean, come on, don't be so disingenuous. After Ms. Pellich threatened to call the police, Ms. Pellich claimed that Ms. Vaughn said, go ahead, I'm going to videotape you, and notice they have underlined you. Now keep in mind, this is after Ms. Pellich threatened to call the police. This issue of video recording comes up. So the video recording was not the reason why Ms. Pellich wants her out of the store. But we're going to now make that the reason. It's called a straw man argument. Get ready. Ms. Vaughn, in fact, never videotaped Ms. Pellich. Well, there was never a claim that she did. Ms. Pellich claimed that she had threatened to videotape her. So the fact that she never did doesn't mean anything. Ms. Vaughn also never indicated that she would videotape any bank operations or services. So that wasn't the issue. Well, if you pull out a video recorder, what's the guarantee that you're not going to do that? This is a bank. people going in and video recording is a problem. Because if I'm a bank robber, that's probably what I'm going to do beforehand. I'm not going to run into a bank where I don't know what's where. And so bank managers, they quite often will tell you no video recording, especially if somebody is belligerent. Ms. Pellich ordered Ms. Vaughn to leave the premises well before either of them ever discussed video recording the interaction. Correct. But guess what? We're going to change that around here a little bit later. So the trespassing had nothing to do with the video recording. And therefore, Ms. Pellich doesn't need the video recording to throw Ms. Vaughn out. Rude behavior is plenty. Ms. Pellich also stated that she would call the police on Ms. Vaughn before Ms. Vaughn mentioned anything about video recording. Right. So why are we talking about video recording? The interaction between Ms. Vaughn and Ms. Pellich lasted less than a minute. Okay. Their interaction was captured on the bank branch's video cameras. At no point during their interaction did the chase video footage show Ms. Vaughn videotaping Ms. Pellich or Chase Bank procedures, because that was not the claim. The claim was that she threatened to. After Ms. Vaughn continued to sit patiently in the seat, Ms. Pellich huffed out of the lobby to call the police. I have a real issue with this. Huffed out. No, this is a legal document. Don't pull that crap. Way too informal for this kind of deal. According to police records, Ms. Pellich did so at 11:36 a.m. While Ms. Pellich called the police, Ms. Vaughn proceeded to unlock her Chase card on the Chase mobile app.
I'm crazy. I'm the Loco one.
Hey, do it. Do it. Come on. Come on. You may be thinking, well, why aren't you doing it there, Johnny Walker Dread? Because I'm not stupid enough to get that drunk. She then texted her husband, James Vaughn Sr., to tell him what happened, and then called him, asking him to leave work and meet her at the bank. After being informed about this extremely alarming situation, what's so alarming about it? Your wife went into a bank and got thrown out. Mr. Vaughn said that he would drive to the Chase Bank branch immediately, despite being at work and on the clock. Gee, he must be a really important employee. Also, around 11:40 a.m., while Ms. Pellich called the police, Hyam Sarah, a Chase employee, provided Ms. Vaughn with her own business card, okay, as well as the business card of Ms. Pellich, identifying Ms. Pellich as the branch manager and a vice president. Like, there is no dispute of this. Why are you even mentioning this?
That was Loco, but not in an entertaining way.
It doesn't matter how the plaintiff came about to find out that Ms. Pellich was the branch manager. She could have looked that up online. If there was dispute here about whether Ms. Pellich was truly the branch manager, this would be relevant. If I'm the judge, I'm thinking, come on, I only have so much time. This lawsuit could have been half the size. On Ms. Pellich's 9/11 call, Ms. Pellich admitted that Ms. Vaughn told her that when she was ready, she would approach the bank teller. Well, okay, that's not the problem. The problem is, what was the tone of voice? People can throw you out of a business if you're rude to them. We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. Ms. Pellich then accused Ms. Vaughn of criminal trespass, which is true. If you tell somebody to leave and they refuse, that's criminal trespass. On the 9/11 call, Ms. Pellich also admitted that the only reason she ordered Ms. Vaughn to leave the branch was because she was being rude and aggressive, and for no other reason. That's the only reason you need. I think the problem here is that they think that a branch manager has to have far more happen before they can throw you out. No, if you walk in and you're rude and belligerent, they can throw you out. They don't need more justification than that. Chase falsely told the Colorado Civil Rights Division during the agency's investigation of Ms. Vaughn's charge that Ms. Vaughn pulled out her phone camera and began recording the interaction after being ordered to leave the branch. Okay, so Chase Manhattan, the corporate headquarters, may have gotten it wrong. Doesn't mean much. They're not witnesses. Ms. Vaughn never recorded Ms. Pellich, nor did she imply she would until after Ms. Pellich threatened to call the police on her. So she did threaten to video record her. Finally, we get to it. Chase also falsely told the Colorado Civil Rights Division during the agency's investigation that Ms. Pellich cautioned Ms. Vaughn that if Ms. Vaughn did not stop recording, she would have to leave, or Ms. Pellich would be forced to call the police. But here's the problem. That's Chase again. They weren't witnesses to this. You say falsely claimed, they didn't know, they weren't there. They're just passing on what they were told by somebody. All that matters is, what did Ms. Pellich tell the police? However, Ms. Pellich admitted in her 9/11 call that she ordered Ms. Vaughn to leave the branch only because she thought Ms. Vaughn was being rude. Okay, admitted? Again, that's all you need. There is no dispute that Ms. Vaughn was not recording Ms. Pellich or anyone else at that time. Okay, getting a little tired. We're going to have to break this thing off. I'll pick up on this on the next one, but you can see the problem already. The straw man arguments are coming in, and the blatant attempt to influence the judge and jury by invoking Ms. Vaughn's supposed Christianity, that's inexcusable. And I don't care what's commonly accepted. Maybe you lawyers out there can tell me, do you do this? Do you write in your legal briefs the religious backgrounds of your clients? At any rate, stay tuned, like my video, subscribe to my channel. I mean, if you can find the like button on the monitor in your stupor, please press it.